very first word that I recall my dad teaching me, it was the word entrepreneur. And he said, son, these are the people that make the world go round. They live where they want. They do what they want. They associate with who they want on their terms. So from the very beginning, I wanted that lifestyle. When you're raising money and chasing a dream, you can't quit. That's the hard part is it's your baby, it's your vision, it's your dream, and it's your startup. And it's very lonely, very stressful, raising capital and all the variables that go into building a startup. But it's not for the faint of heart.
Welcome to the show, Chris.
Thanks, Mark. It's great to be here.
Great to have you. You have been an entrepreneur for a majority of your life. You have started so many successful companies. And right now, you have a new company, Adventure Headquarters, based in Austin. And the word adventure gets me excited. Tell me a little bit about this new company you have.
One of the few things that we think all people across the planet have in common is their love of the outdoors. It doesn't matter where you live, what age you are, what your economic or education or political status is. Everybody loves the outdoors. They know the feeling of sitting on a mountaintop or on a beach or a river and clearing your head and your heart and your soul and having fun times with family and friends. And that's what Adventure Headquarters does is we help people find and do more things outdoors, primarily what's in their backyard. The vast majority of people do day trips. Hey, what can we do today or tomorrow with the family and the friends and something quick and simple? And there just is not a way to help people find and do that. So that's what we've designed Adventure Headquarters to do is to help people find and do more things outdoors and have fun and connect with their friends and neighbors and relatives.
I love it. I love it. You led right into my next question, which was that why do we need Adventure Headquarters? Some people will say, we already have Google.
Google is notoriously disliked in general, and especially in the outdoor industry, which is tree huggers and conservationists and wilderness people like myself that care a great deal about the outdoors. And when you use Google, it's a real complicated mess. You don't know what's real, what's not. We bring a whole new dimension to it where we validate and verify everything that you get a response to when you search for kayaking in Seattle or hiking in Austin or scuba diving in Florida. When you search for those activities, the only responses we provide are high quality ones that we vetted and curated and tested. So the consumer has a high degree of trust that what we're presenting them with is a pretty safe and smart thing for them to do.
Interesting. That strikes a chord with me because there have been times when I want to go on a hike and I Google something and it tells me there's this wonderful hike and I show up there and it's nothing like the photos. I recently went on a hike. I wanted to go on a long hike and Google told me that it was this many miles away and was this much longer. And when I got there, it was nothing like it was described. So I totally see where you're coming from here. So that's a really good vision.
Yeah, I've been fortunate to have grown up overseas and toured the world, and I'm addicted to outdoor fun. And I kept getting fired or dumped or going broke, chasing my dream of adventures. And there's got to be a way to get paid to play. And that's what became Adventure Headquarters is now we get our job is to do adventures and go on adventures and help potentially millions of other people to find and do and enjoy the great outdoors. There's quite an epidemic in this country of loneliness and isolation and division. And a big part of it is politics and technology and social media. We're all just spun up pretty hard and people are running pretty intense around the clock. And the mental health epidemic is pretty intense in this country and getting outside is the best thing for it. So that's really what I'm most passionate about is helping people unwind and get off the grid and turn off the phone and make some new friends and reconnect with their kids or their parents and just get outside, just get out. Remember as kids growing up, parents used to say, just go get outside, just go out, just get away from me, go out. So that's what we do is we help people just on the spur of the moment be able to find and do cool things.
Yeah, and you're so right. Technology has, in some ways, brought us closer than ever. I can pick up the phone and I talk to my family in a different country or talk to my friends in a different country. But at the same time, it has made us so much more lonely. We have never been this close and still be so lonely. What do you think is happening in our society that's causing this loneliness that is then causing into all types of mindset and mental issues?
Oh, it's a lot. It's just the natural evolution of society. It's the media, it's politics, it's technology, it's the workload that the higher you get up in a corporation, the more you get paid, the more stress you have, the less free time you have. And it's a vicious cycle. So I don't really speak a lot about what causes the division and the mental health issues. That's a personal thing for each person. What we do talk a lot about is how to get outside and have fun and do something you've never done before and clear your head and get some fresh air and some sunshine and get the heart rate up and meet some new friends in your little community of where you live, or if you like hiking or biking or fishing, we connect you with other folks like that. And we just want to simplify the world again. And all that information's out there. It's just overwhelming. So we help the consumer to search through cool stuff and have a lot more fun quickly and easily.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You are on cause. There are very few causes that are fun and noble at the same time. Being an entrepreneur myself, supporting a lot of entrepreneurs, talking to a lot of entrepreneurs, entrepreneurship itself is a very hard journey. There are ups and downs, and there's a lot of unpredictability. And sometimes we find ourselves locked into a room, working on a problem 16, 18 hours a day, isolating ourselves from the rest of the world without having any outlet. So something like this could inform upon that as well.
Without a doubt, and it's Adventure Headquarters is the merger of the two great loves of my life, adventures and entrepreneurship. I like it too. I'm an adventurepreneur, and I used to use mountaineering because mountaineering was much of my life. That a startup company or entrepreneurship is a lot like mountaineering. You're taking risks. You got a team where the summit is, and it's avalanches and cold and whiteout and sickness and every kind of problem being thrown at you to try to summit that mountain. But then I realized along the way that you can just turn and walk down a mountain. You can just walk away at any time. You can't do that with entrepreneurship. So it's more like being at the bottom of the Grand Canyon with lead boots on and a 50-pound backpack. And there's only one way out, and it's all uphill, and you dang well better like it. When you're raising money and chasing a dream, you can't quit. That's the hard part is it's your baby, it's your vision, it's your dream, and it's your startup. And it's very lonely, very stressful, raising capital and all the variables that go into building a startup. But it's not for the faint of heart, let's put it that way.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. That's why I would say anybody who wants to be an entrepreneur needs to have the right reasons to do it. Especially in the world of social media, people think entrepreneurship is just a way of getting out of doing work, because there are gurus telling you that you can work just 4 hours a week and make $1 billion sipping margarita on the seaside. But this part up, there's a lot of gurus on the internet saying that all you have to do is work 4 hours a week and make millions of dollars sitting on the seaside drinking margaritas. But that's not really the truth, is it? So if you're not in the right for the right reason, you're going there for a rude awakening.
Yeah, you'll get steamrolled pretty quick in this business. There's two types of entrepreneurship, really. One is something small, you put your hands around a little family or a little personal business, and where you don't really have to raise any money. Just you're doing something nice and fun and simple. And the other aspect is something that's much bigger, where you're raising capital and you've got a bigger vision and dream and passion. And the bigger the dream, the bigger the passion, the more money it takes and the riskier it is. So there's no guarantees any way you take through life, either working for someone else or being an entrepreneur. I think the odds are about the same, but I find that with the entrepreneurship, you've got a whole nother level of loneliness and isolation because you're hitting your friends up for money, your family, people on the street. You're constantly begging and groveling for capital to build your idea, and it wears you down for a while. It's pretty tough. The rejection is overwhelming. And so that takes all the fun out of starting a business, is raising capital and all the logistics and legalese around that.
Let's get into young Chris, right? Have you all wanted to be an entrepreneur when you were a kid?
The very first word that I recall my dad teaching me, I know there were other earlier words, but the one that I recall him specifically, the moment in time that he sat me down and taught me a specific word, it was the word entrepreneur. And he said, son, these are the people that make the world go round. They live where they want. They do what they want. They associate with who they want on their terms. And they're in the batter's box a lot by themselves. And every 5 to 8 years, they hit a pretty good little deal and struggle the rest of the time. And so from the very beginning, I wanted that lifestyle. And I started my first little company in high school. I was just really getting into mountain climbing. So I figured, how can I get paid to climb? I started doing high-rise office building window washing, where I'd rappel down from the roof. 16, 17 years old, making $1,000 a week washing windows. I'm like, that's pretty good. I was fortunate with my dad's job that we grew up overseas as an expat for 10 years. We left Australia when I was 12 and we moved to the States. By that time, we had had 3 complete circumnavigations of the planet. So I got to see most of the world as a child growing up. And one of the most distinctive moments in my life was in 1972. We went into Germany, went into Berlin, went through Checkpoint Charlie in 1970 into East Berlin, into the communist section behind the Iron Curtain. And as an 8-year-old, you're at the height of looking in the barrel of a machine gun of a soldier that's holding it at waist high. They take us off the bus, take our passports, take our watches, our money, newspapers. They take everything to go into East Berlin through the military checkpoint. Of course, I'm tugging on my dad's sleeve going, Dad, why do they use guns to keep people in? I could understand the concept of using guns to keep people out. Okay, I get that, but why keep them in? I didn't understand. And so that became the diehard launching pad for my life as a capitalist and defender of freedom and the love and the joy of the United States and what we have and the wonders of entrepreneurship, that one person with an idea truly can change the world. It happens a lot, but there should be more people trying to change the world. But the process of raising capital and doing startups is just punishing. It's brutal. It's soul crushing. But if we make it a lot easier for anybody with an idea to come to life and get some capital and kickstart the thing, we would have a jobs creation program in this country that's been unparalleled.
I'm curious, what did your dad say when you asked him that question?
He said, "Not now, son." It began my journey. His book to me for graduation from high school was Adam Smith's Wealth of Nations and Ayn Rand's Atlas Shrugged. Those were the two books he gave me for high school graduation, and I read them both before I went to college. And fundamental transformation, I battled through years of college, through 4 different colleges. All I ever wanted to learn was how to start companies. And all I got was profit is evil, capitalism's evil, business people are evil. No, we're the ones that make the world go round. We're not communicating here. And so I struggled and fought bitterly to stand my ground through college, and got a degree in economics from TCU. And they were glad to see me go because I challenged every professor to the end of time. It was fun.
It's fun. That's almost entrepreneurs. All entrepreneurs have certain traits. And the most entrepreneurs I interview on the podcast, I realize there are 2 distinct things. Number one, they challenge the status quo. They like to ask questions. And I think it's the same thing like you talked about great adventures outdoors with your company. That why isn't there an easy way for people to go out and have fun? And that's you challenging the way things are these days and finding it, right? And finding an alternate solution. So I think that speaks to this unique trait that entrepreneurs have. And the second thing I'm also noticing is that a lot of entrepreneurs, when they're in high school or college, they don't just want to read the book and pass the exam. They're looking for a specific type of knowledge. And when they don't get it, they take their own path and do their own thing. So what did you do after graduation?
Before I graduated, my 4th year in college, I started taking a lot of communications classes at TCU, how to speak. I learned early that I didn't necessarily have to be the smartest guy out there, because I'm really not, but I'm real good at communicating to people to motivate and inspire them to do what I want them to do. So I took a lot of public speaking, presentations, debate classes, because I knew that if I could latch on to startups and just be a spokesperson for any kind of startup, I had a pretty good business model, because most startups can't stand in front of an audience and present their idea. So I became an idea evangelist. I was agnostic what the deal was. So I jumped onto a startup while I was in college and used my public speaking classes to perfect my presentation to the professor. He was my target investor. So he gave me an B+ for the course for the semester, but afterwards he gave me a check for $15,000.
Wow.
So that was my first taste. He was a very sharp man. And I appreciated the trust factor, not only him getting the idea, but he trusted me with that much, a lot of money back then. That began my journey of becoming the best pitch man I could. And then I did that for projects all around the world and had a lot of fun with that. A deal is a startup. They all need capital. And that's the fundamental thing that helped me through a lot of years working with energy companies, automotive companies in Eastern Europe, underwater resorts in Fiji. I didn't care what was fun and what was cool. Let's do it. Go raise some money.
What was the business that he invested in, the professor?
Ironically, it was called Natural Birthing Centers of America. They were franchising natural birthing centers like McDonald's, but baby delivery, because the cost of delivering a baby is so out of control that these were, for all of human history, we had home birthing. So this was a new spin on it. And I had no clue what delivering a baby was, but I didn't really care as much. My job was to get investors curious and hooked and get them to the next conversation.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm interested. That makes sense. Now let's talk. Then I'd get out of the way and hand them over to the startup guys.
Yeah. Very interesting. Natural birthing is coming around again. More and more people are choosing to do that. I personally know a lot of women who have chosen to do that. So it's interesting. Let me ask you this, Chris. For those who are listening to this, looking for specific entrepreneur advice, they have an idea. They just don't know how to go about finding investors and pitching to them. Someone who has become a master at it, having done it for so many years. What are some beginning steps they can do in terms of finding an investor who's interested and then going about making the pitch?
That could be a whole hour and question just in and of itself. For me, it was almost a joy, almost a game, a silly, twisted little game that I really enjoyed of how many people could I talk to? How many people could I bug? How many people could I ask questions of? How many people could I connect with? My dad taught me early in life, collect a business card, son. Be a vacuum cleaner and collect business cards everywhere you go because you never know. So I spent a lifetime building a golden Rolodex all over the planet of people that I can turn to for this or for that. So build a network. Your network drives your net worth. The more people you can connect with, the more people you can build friendship with, the more people you can get to know, the better the odds that you're going to find what you need. It's not just capital, it's teammates, it's product development, it's whatever. There's all kind of things that an entrepreneur's got to be a great finder at. You got to be a hound dog. You got to be a finder. You got to be able to knock on a gazillion doors to find whatever it is that you're looking for. And capital is just one of those. And you just start with your closest friends and family. Hey, Dad, would you give me $100 for this idea? Or your uncle, hey, would you give me $1,000 for that idea? And just start learning the game. Do your homework of looking at in the community where the entrepreneur lives. There's chambers of commerce, there's usually investment communities, there's angel networks. There's a lot of resources out there that are easy, especially with the internet these days, to start to build a big, broad view of the horizon. Because once you really know the horizon in your life, then you can say, I want to go there, I want to go there, or I want to go there. I've got pieces of the puzzle where I can find someone, take me in that direction or this other direction. So I just always enjoyed seeing what I could get into in this world. I took great pride with burrowing my way into people and decision makers and senior executives. They're just humans. They put their pants on one leg at a time. They have the same stresses and problems. The more successful someone is that you're targeting, the more likely it is that they have an entrepreneurial heart. They're just not living it. They're stuck behind a desk and owned by a paycheck, and they tend to be very supportive of young entrepreneurs. I've always wanted to teach entrepreneurship by 7th or 8th grade, because I believe children are natural entrepreneurs at their heart and soul from their DNA when they're born. Is they look for fun, they look for ideas. And if you get them by 7th or 8th grade, they have a chance to keep that dream alive. But by 9th or 10th grade, I'm sad to have to say this, but the school system beats the life out of them, and it beats the dreams out of them and the independence, and they're just a cog in a big wheel. And so I think I'd like to see movement in this country of teaching entrepreneurship at grade school or middle school at the latest.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There are certain principles of entrepreneurship that even if someone doesn't end up being an entrepreneur, it's so useful. Pitching, like you said, being able to make connections, networking, understanding profit loss, running your bank account in a way to understand how much money do I have in the bank, how much runway do I have. So many people are getting into credit card debts because they don't understand that they have to pay that back when it adds up. These lessons being taught into high school in the form of entrepreneurship would help everybody, entrepreneur or not. So let me ask you about the entrepreneurial mindset or the skill set. One of the things that you are so good at and that you're also talking about is the ability to pitch, ability to approach somebody, ability to be able to build that connection, brings the veil of sales skills. Did you ever officially go through sales training? How did you develop this skill set?
I guess part of my DNA since I was a child was I was always very outgoing and adventurous, running wild in the woods of Australia and around the world. So I was always outside. And I never even had a TV till I was 12, and I still don't like it to this day. I found that as we moved around the world a lot, I had a natural skill to connect with people, to make friends, because if I didn't, it was going to be a very lonely existence. So I became good at connecting with people very quickly across cultures. It didn't matter where they're from in the world, people are people. So I got real good at it. Just it was a fun thing. Then in college, I decided to really focus in on specifically training to be a pitchman. There was a teacher I had early in life. He said, the greatest ideas in life are useless if you cannot convey them. So I said, give me a good idea and a good pitch, good pitch man. You've got a pretty good scenario. Give me a so-so idea and a good pitch man, you've got a chance. Give me a great idea with no pitch man, and you got no chance. So I really wanted to be exceptional at conveying dreams and visions and ideas, not detail and tactics per se, but the vision. It's most of what I did was sports throughout my life, and coaching and climbing was always centered around teams. Give me a great team of 5 guys that'll communicate and pass the ball, and I'll win a national championship every time. So that's what I've done with Adventure Headquarters is we stepped back for quite some time to wait to assemble what I think is the best team I've ever, without a doubt, ever assembled. And now I can stand from investors and say, look, I know you guys bet on the jockey, not the horse. This is the best dang jockey you're going to find. This team is bulletproof and it's proven, and we're friends and we know what we're doing. We've been through tough, really went through, survived the COVID. We've gelled. We're ready for combat. Let's go. All we need is capital to launch this thing.
Anybody that has started a business knows that when we start a business first, we are the genius with 1,000 hands. We're doing every aspect of every role of that business. And over time, when the business starts taking off, we need to be able to hire a team. We need to focus on our own genius zone and hire a good team that can handle the other things to perfection. But that's much easier said than done. As someone who is so good at assembling good teams, what do you look for? And how do you go about it?
You've got to drill down into what your own deepest core values and ethics and integrity definitions are in life. You got to be able to look in the mirror and really know who and what you are. And then you can go and find those skill sets, those personality traits, those characters of honor and integrity and trustworthiness and honesty and teamwork. Then you know what to look for in the kind of personalities you want to bring in. At the same time, it helps you to complement your weakness to say, okay, I'm real good at this, but I'm weak at that. Now I know to go look at this kind of person that complements me. My COO right now is an exact opposite of me, but he gets the vision. He's been with me for 4 years, but he is a master of detail and structure. So he takes my vision and my pipeline of throwing all this stuff against the wall, and he massages it, structures it into tactical action, and we work together really well. It's a cool dynamics.
When you are in a startup, yeah, we want to hire people who are going to be on board with their vision, with their hard work, with the values that we present ourselves and that we want the company to represent. But almost always startups don't have a lot of money to bring in this type of talent. What is your process to be able to problem solve through that?
There's two basic fundamental truths to start the very step one. Okay, I have this idea. What do I do? I need a little bit of money to start to do something. So just go out and borrow a couple grand from a parent, a relative, a friend, a neighbor. Get something, get a bank account set up. Just take the first step. And then, you look at, start to think about how big of idea is this? What's the reality of it? How much am I going to need? A lot of money or a little bit? One of the things that I really try to stress with when I'm working with young entrepreneurs is just go sell. Just sell anything, something. Don't give it away, because giving it away doesn't determine real buyer need. Go to outside your family and friends. They'll buy it because they feel pity for you. But go out to people you don't know and just sell something, anything, and just shortest route to cash flow and revenue. Doesn't have to be your final vision of what you're trying to sell. Just sell something. Get comfortable with convincing people to give you money for something, for a product or a service that you stand by. And I think one of the key traits in all this is when someone gives you investment dollars, that's to me one of the ultimate trust factors that two people can have, is they're trusting you to not lose their money. And it's a big moral responsibility and ethical and legal ramifications. People lose a lot of money all the time, and it destroys friendships and families. And it's a brutal game. Your odds, if you're raising capital, your odds are 1 in 3. One of those investors is going to sue you. That's not good odds.
That's not good odds. Interesting. All these years, all this experience, all these successes, there must have been some down moments. Tell us about a time when things didn't work out the way you wanted it to, and what you did to move past that. The business is our baby, and hope is a drug. We stay far long into relationships with humans and business that we shouldn't be, just because we hope that things would work out. So, what was a down moment in your life in any of the businesses? And then what did you do to get past it?
Can't play this game without getting your rear end kicked eventually, and get it kicked bad. So to me, success in life is getting up one more time than you get knocked down. And because you strike out in the bottom of the ninth, seventh game of the World Series, doesn't make you the bad guy. It makes you a hero, because you're there, you're in the moment, and you went down swinging. Your business might have failed, but you did everything you humanly possibly could and overcome a lot of obstacles. And it didn't work for any one of numerous reasons: bolt of lightning, or meteor, or a bad investor, or financial hiccups such as Silicon Valley Bank blowing up last year. That destroyed thousands of startups. We almost did not survive that. I think what you go through in life is directly proportional to how much you believe in what you're doing. If you really absolutely mind, body, heart, and soul believe in your idea and yourself, you'll go to the end of the earth and climb any mountain and run the Grand Canyon and whatever it's going to take to see it through. And that's what we've had to do this last time around. We had an incredible project in Fiji that we were trying to build the world's first underwater sustainable habitat at Poseidon Undersea Resorts. And we raised 1.6 million in 90 days and bought an island in Fiji. Everything was in place. We had a 4-continent team of the best engineers and underwater explorers on Earth, and I was the hub and spoke of the entire team, keeping everybody together and moving around the world. And we had $100 million on the table, and there was a military coup in Fiji that took down the government and destroyed the deal. We lost 1.6 million. But we had everything. It was I had 2 great dreams my whole life: Mount Everest and to live underwater. And I got Everest out of the way in 2001. And then 2006 was Poseidon Undersea Resorts. And that was just heartbreaking, because you can spend a year in space now, but you can't spend a night underwater. We had it solved. We had it figured out. So that one really hurt.
How did you recover from that?
I moved to the Philippines to find more islands of where to put the underwater resort. So we gave it our best. We searched the world for about 2 or 3 years. I worked for island owners in Belize and Philippines that had owned private islands that would be possible scenarios for the underwater habitat. And it just faded away. We couldn't, a lot of logistics and stars have to be in alignment for something like that to work. And people had to go get jobs and we just faded away. Our parent company was US Submarines and they just sold for $50 million. And so it was a fascinating experience that we were on the forefront of being able to truly change human presence underwater and stay underwater for days or weeks at a time. That was really near and dear to my heart. That one hurt because I'd for 35 years at that point always dreamed. I've been scuba diving since I was a child. I was like, man, I just want to live underwater.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. In between Everest and wanting to live underwater, and now with adventure, like the outdoor adventure company that you started, you literally are the embodiment of true adventure, right? How important is it to have that fun element in our personality, to want to have that kid-like desire, kid-like anticipation, kid-like dreams to be able to really continue to move forward? Because in many ways, adulting is just like process of stopping to dream, right? It's like they beat it out of us. So what does it take to hold on to it?
I think some people are born in certain characteristics. Some people are, there's a psychology test I took at a church group 30 years ago. It had 4 quadrants. It had a beaver, it had a golden lab, it had a tiger, and it had an otter as the 4 distinct personality types of humans. So the beavers were like engineers, very detailed, structured, very focused kind of people. The golden lab was just a faithful playmate, just a la. The tiger was an A plus, like Wall Street banker, lawyer. And the otter just wanted to play. And I was off the spectrum of the otter. I was king otter. So I've just always, since I was a kid, I just always wanted to play and have fun. I'm a goofball at heart. I think fun is good. That's actually one of our company taglines is fun is good. I think the rat race does beat it out of you. The school system, the job system, marriage, debt, all those things are suck the life out of being free and independent. And I stayed single by choice because once you lock down with another person, they're sucked into your madness. And it's hard to be an entrepreneur when you have family responsibilities. So I've been able to take extreme risks and pay punishing price a few times along the way. But I'd get up, say, dust off, say, that was fun. I learned a lot. Let's go try it, a new one, a different way, and apply what I've learned. For me, if I quit, it means I haven't learned from all those lessons of getting my butt kicked on previous things over 30 some odd years. So this is the first time I've been a founder and the CEO of my own company, my own vision, my own baby, my own team. And it's overwhelming. And I've struggled immensely and it's been brutal. And it was crushing at one point a year ago. And that's where I called up Christian Flores. I'm like, dude, I need to talk. I'm unraveling. This has been 6 years of this. I lost both my parents along the way. I had COVID. I was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. COVID cost me a great job I had with Marriott. I just got wailed on. And what am I going to do? Go get a real job? That's even worse. So found ways to keep raising a little bit of capital and do odd jobs along the way to keep it alive. And then a year ago, September, I got rebaptized in Christian's church. And it's really been a series of true miracles that have happened in my life. And I'm a little jaded when it comes to miracles, but there's some things that have happened, people that I've connected with, and things that have occurred in that year that have really changed my approach on faith and this church and my new life of how I handle things differently, dress and relationships, connections with others and helping others. And so it's really, I think my new aura, my new energy of being a lot more at peace and at ease and relaxed has helped magnetize and draw people closer.
I talk about this thing a lot, the suffering of a champion. It's so easy to look at the success of a champion and say, I wish I could do that. If somebody's looking at Chris and saying, wow, like he's climbing Mount Everest, he's starting an underwater place where people can go and live. And when it didn't work out, he just went to in the Philippines. I want that life. And it's so easy to just look at the successes and not understand what it goes into, what we have to go through to be able to live that. And you talked about making a sacrifice, a personal choice to not have a family. And it was at a cost of wanting to be able to do these other things. So it's very interesting to be able to talk to people like yourself who have given up so much because of that dream, when it's so easy to just settle down. Like when you said, what am I going to do? Go get another job? That's even worse. I think entrepreneurs are just built a certain way. They're willing to work 80 hours a week for themselves just so that they don't have to work 40 hours a week for somebody else.
You've hit one thing on the head and you call it the human humans are wired, our entrepreneurs are wired a little differently. There's a lot of truth to that. Now, having said that, I believe anybody can bring an idea to life and become entrepreneurial, start a small business or a world-changing business. We're thinking, and you got to have some cojones to say, I'm going to take on Google and Facebook because they both suck, and I've got a better solution. And I've probably done 400 or 500 presentations since 2018, and I've got 8 investors. But they put up 200 grand and launched the company. They're handpicked investors, very close friends. And it's been, the rejection is really difficult to deal with a lot of times. You just want to grab the investor guy by the throat and go, what do you mean you're saying no? What do you mean you don't understand? How have I failed to convince you that this thing is right on? So we've tapped into some good networks in Colorado, and I'm heading up there Wednesday for an investor summit. And what we're doing really resonates to investors in Colorado, but I can't get the time of day from investors here in Austin.
Conversation, Chris, it's literally worth its weight in gold. What you just gave the numbers about having to approach 100 some investors and only get money from 8. I work with entrepreneurs day in, day out. I coach them. And some of the young ones who really haven't understood what it means to be an entrepreneur, they'll reach out to 10 people on LinkedIn or 10 people on Facebook, and they won't get a reply and then get upset. And I tell them, you don't have any understanding of the amount of outreach that needs to happen to be able to really get a real business going. What does it take to get 100 no's in a row? Not just like pinging somebody and a DM on some platform, but actually preparing for something, showing up, physically traveling, having so much anticipation and pitching it. And you can see the glimmer in their eyes and you're like, yes, it's going to work out. And it's a no. And then it's a no. And then it's a no. What does it take to move past that?
I think what I've always tried to do, if you're a fan of baseball, I'd rather have a low number of at-bats and a high batting average than a lot of at-bats and a low batting average. I'd rather go 8 for 10 than for 20. So it starts with doing your homework on the investor. Really get to know them, take time to look them up, dig to them, find a relationship or a connection into them. What have they invested in before? Otherwise, you're going to just be throwing mud at a lot of walls that have no business. So people spend a lot of time pitching to someone that really aren't not investor prospects. So there's a whole art and science and strategy to capital, who you go after, what are you actually pitching, how much do you need to raise, what's your expected return on investment. Investors are not in the business of taking risks. They're in the business of making money. And we're in the business of taking astronomical, insane risks. And they come along and insult us going, no, I'm not giving you 20 grand because of this or that. I'm out $250,000 for, I could have made a living doing something else. And it's frustrating. It's like men are from Mars, women are from Venus, the entrepreneur and the investor. They're two very different, specific creatures in this universe with almost diametrically opposed objectives, and they're trying to come together. And once in a while, they stick. But it's brutal. I wish I could make $1 gazillion and change the way early stage investing is done. I would give 5 grand to anybody that walks in the door that's got the say, Chris, I've got this idea. I need 5 grand. Fine, here you go. Good luck. If it works, come back to me. Then we'll take the next step. But they make us beg and grovel. And it's just a human that the investors put us through to go find this out, go do this, go do that, go do this. You spend months and months going back and forth and back and forth. And then they say, no, I'm not interested. Well, why didn't you tell me that 6 months ago? So there's pretty significant lack of respect from investors to entrepreneurs because investors know everything and entrepreneurs don't know jack. But it's a strained relationship that causes, I would think, as many as 80% of all startups to fail is the inability to raise that first round of capital, because what's it worth? How much of the company do they get? The investor wants all that figured out before they'll give you the money. If I had it figured out, I wouldn't need your money. So it's this back and forth oil and water thing that goes, this eternal dance between those with the money and those that need the money. That's just so inefficient in this country or any country.
Absolutely. What's next for Chris? I know you're working on this company. It's your baby. You're the founder. You're the CEO. You're really hoping it works out, and I'm sure it will. Where does this take you as an entrepreneur next level? And where does the company go next level?
My DNA, my core purpose in life is in the mountains. I belong in the mountains. I've been there my whole life, had 12 years in Boulder. They are part of who and what I am, and I miss them terribly. I want to relocate back to Colorado, either to Gunnison or Boulder. That's why I'm going up there next week. I got to be happy where I'm at. If I'm going to fight this battle any longer, I got to be happy where I'm at. I'm just not happy in Austin. I've been here for 6 years and beat my head against 1,000 walls, and I get it. We've accomplished a lot and launched the pilot and raised 200K and got a great team, and now we're ready to go. And Colorado is synonymous with outdoor recreation and adventure. Whether we land in Boulder or Gunnison, we'll build a company from there. And so we'll build out Texas, build out Colorado, and probably Utah or New Mexico as the next state that we populate. Part of my new challenge in life, because I don't have enough challenges, is the Parkinson's disease. That's thrown a monkey wrench in my life. I've decided recently to step aside as CEO, so we're actively recruiting a CEO. We think these investors in Colorado will want to bring someone or have an influence in who they put at the helm to sit on their money. So it'll enable me to step out from carrying the entire load to move over to a business development role and just work with the customer and not have to be chasing capital anymore. I'm so burnt out chasing capital, it's ridiculous.
Chris, in a world where everybody wants to be an entrepreneur for the wrong reason, in a world where motivated entrepreneurs really have the attention span of a goldfish, years and years later, you are still a shark. You are still out there. You're still doing the work. You're not only doing things that bring you joy, but can actively change the quality of life of thousands, potentially millions. You have made personal sacrifices in the past. You're making personal sacrifices in the present. You are the embodiment of what a true entrepreneur is. And whether anybody looking from the outside realizes it or not, in the entrepreneurial world, we know what it takes. And you're amazing. Thank you for being on the show.
I appreciate it, Mark. It's been an interesting series of questions. I hope it can help inspire and guide the next generation of entrepreneurs. And it's a crazy world out there. And depending on other people for a paycheck or solutions in this world is always dangerous. And to try to at least try to chart your own destiny and do your own thing in this world has some chance of success and happiness and independence. So, but I appreciate your time. Anything else last minute?
Think we're good. I hope we get to talk again because I know you are a wealth of knowledge and I would love to be able to pick your brains about some nitty gritty of different aspects of business building.
Anytime, Mark. I appreciate your passion and your focus on entrepreneurship, and your line of questionings are quite productive. So I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. That's it.